Mm-hmm. Oh, really? Didn't know.
All right, setting up now. All right, so we're ready. So, Yella, how are you today?
I'm doing great. I was just on a holiday leave right now, so I don't have work. I'll
Yeah,
be back to work on Monday. So yeah, I think it's a Muslim holiday today. So yeah, we don't have work today.
well,
Mm-hmm.
that's quite
How?
useful.
Mm-hmm.
So you're on holiday. Have you gone away for holiday or are you staying at home for holiday?
I just use it as a time to recuperate from work since we've been busy as well.
Yeah.
I work in a very busy medcoms field. So yeah, usually if there's like holidays, I just um rest. Unless it's like a long holiday, like around 3 to 5 days kind of holiday, my family would usually go out of town and have a planned trip. But right now, since it's just one day holiday, I'm just home resting.
Fair enough. So you work in medical comms.
Yes, correct.
What does that involve?
Mm-hmm. So, medical communications, it usually involves like a wide range of things. It could be like um, work with scientific team. There's like the primary investigators, medical writers, medical editors, and in this case, I'm an MCS. That's a medical content specialist. What we do is we support the scientific team when it comes to um, checking if their manuscripts or other Congress works like posters are
Mm.
what they call this correct, or it's like we fact checked their work before it's published or before they present them on congresses. So it's more of like this medical research realm somehow. So it's more
Yes.
of like yeah.
Okay. So sounds to me like before comms going out, you're checking it, you're making sure it's factually correct. Is
Mhm.
it more about the factual correctness than it is about how it can land with the public? Or is it both?
I think it's both since medical communications focus more on like making the medical information essentially into like simpler context for the public to understand it. We
Makes
have to
sense.
check both the factual aspect of it, like um, recent or let's say evidence-based medicine, evidence-based practice, and then translate them into a more digestible information
Mm.
for patients, for clients, for physicians, for others who need to partake on our information. Yeah.
Okay. So what about this role comes most naturally to you? What's easy for you to do in that you feel confident doing?
Mhm. Okay, so since I love that question, thank you. That's so creative. I think um, can I give a bit of context on my background? So
Yeah.
I used to be
Yeah.
a hospitalist. I used to be a clinician. I'm a licensed physical therapist, and then some background with it is we are also trained with research and stuff. But my first formative years as being a PT professional, I worked as a clinician, so I am more exposed to the patients and all that. And then let's say I just didn't like some of the system in the hospital when it comes to like sorry, can I mention it like insurance thing when it
Listen.
comes to like trying to modify stuff in order to give medications to the patient or whatever treatment to the patients. So when it comes to translating or say moving into the research field, it feels like there's more integrity with the role because since we are fact checking, there's more alignment with my values or principles somehow that I don't have to modify or like find a way to achieve this thing, like to do this thing, and I'm just like one on one with this. Like there's more let's say truth to it. I think I'm oversimplifying, but there's more consistency with truth when it comes to research field since we are investigating for the objective answer according to what we have in tools. Like while I'm not the one of the principal investigators who do the research stuff, I'm still part of the one of the last pair of eyes to see if their work is actually accurate, if it's actually precise, based on the literature they present, if it's like from primary source, secondary source. So yeah, so I think that's what mostly aligns with me. And aside from my personal stuff, when it comes to like a team, we also work in team sometimes. So in team, what I like with medical communications is, at least in my company, how we work as MCS is there's this uniformity when it comes to work.
Yeah.
Let's say uniformity. What I mean by that is, let's say a recent example or recent scenario. I'm usually um I won't say I'm usually, but the best thing that I can word it out is um I'm naturally like let's say a leader. So when I say natural leader, it's not like the bossy or like a commanding type of leader, but I feel like innately in my, or I don't think if it's like an eldest daughter syndrome, like I step into the leadership position not because of the
Yeah.
power, but because I want to lead others to perform, let's say the tasks efficiently and yeah, smooth flowing. Yeah.
Makes sense.
Um, Aside from that as well, I feel like being a leader also, I want to differentiate like the tyrannical leaders and all the commanding bossy leaders. I
Yeah.
feel like I'm more like the type of leader in the groups where, let's say, I love highlighting the strengths of my team members. I like to encourage them not out of like ego boosting them, but based on what they actually provide in our teamwork, or yeah, our responsibilities given the task. At the same time, if I give criticism, it's constructive as well. I won't say like it's harsh or mean. I still try to not really tone down, but I try to make it tactful when it comes to giving criticisms when it comes to teamwork.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So just to summarize there is a
Mm-hmm.
natural alignment towards dealing with information that is factual, that's accurate, that's in line, that's a kind of scientific ethics of actually getting across information practically and making sure that's actually communicated accurately. And that's something you very much align to. At the same time, you do see yourself as quite a natural leader in that respect. You're someone who naturally takes responsibility in the space. And
Mm-hmm.
for you, it's not that about being a bossy figure. It's about handling that responsibility well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Okay,
that's correct.
thank you. What aspects of your role, of your, well, it's your business really. What aspects of running your business, of doing what you do, um, do you find more challenging?
Challenging. Wait, let me think. I'm thinking of an answer that's not but correct me if I can mention it, but like I want to remove like the aspect of when you're tired, of course things sometimes become difficult, so I want to remove that aspect that when all of us get tired, so our brains get squeezed. So I don't want
Mm,
I want to remove that aspect. So I think what's difficult, mm, let's say I have two things, one relational, one tasks wise. Let's go with relational first. So the first relational and task. So relational, I think, our work environment in general is healthy work environment, which is I'm grateful for. I work from home,
yep.
with a company that's based as well in London, so it's good
Oh,
with my time
really?
zone. Yeah, yeah, it
Hmm.
is. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm mid shift, so I work 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Philippine time. So that's really we have that work life balance somehow that I can work from home. The time zone is fine. I don't have to stay up late. Unlike other work from home in the Philippines, you have to work overnight, like night shift, which is bad for the
Goodness.
health as well. Which
Yeah,
I did
yeah.
before when I was a healthcare virtual assistant, but now I'm not. But anyway, relational, work wise, I don't have problem dealing with work in a sense that it's fine because it's learnable. Like I feel like even if they're okay, I'll just mingle them too. Even if there's some tasks that are new to me, I feel like I can learn them as I go. I feel like I can figure it out somehow. In a sense that I can search them up how to do it. Like yeah, so even if it's new to me, it's either I figure it out on my own first. That's the first approach that I do. But if I don't really find anything that I can figure out on my own, that's the time that I ask questions. But lately, I've been trying to balance them out. That, oh wait, we can't be too prideful, rely on our own strength. If there's something that we don't understand, we can ask. Then we can figure out while waiting for the answer. So so again, no problem with the tasks. I think the problem usually would be when it comes to relational, when there are, I'm not talking about my job per se right now, but like in general, in my experience, like sometimes what makes work difficult is the passive aggressiveness of some people or your coworker when they, for example, there are some people who are not really good at giving feedback. Like if, for example, if they're going to give you feedback, it's they usually just lay out all the negative. They won't even word it out as this is our areas to improve on. They
Mm.
will just like, oh, this is wrong, this is right. All the while, um some others, let's say the other good things are there, but they won't acknowledge it. It's just all on the negative. But then um when you get exposed to more teamwork or even individual work, you will see and compare yourself that why am I criticized that way when I see others. I'm not looking down on them. Okay, don't get that image. I'm more of like, why am I scrutinized or criticized that way when the others are performing lower than I do? Like,
Mm.
I don't know if my message is getting getting across, but like I feel
Okay.
and then that's that's the reason why when there are, like, for example, new employees in the company, um I make sure that if I'll give them feedback, it won't be like being scrubbed, like your wounds being scrubbed to the to the core, because I feel like I want to make learning as the motivation for others to learn, not judgment in a sense that you are being rude to them in order for them to
Yes.
learn, because it's a good learning space. So
Yes.
yeah, I think that's my answer to your question. The relational stuff sometimes makes things difficult more than the work itself.
Sure.
Because
Sure.
yeah.
So the key
Mm-hmm.
thing there is really people being negative, not in the way which help, not in the constructive criticism way, but in an almost rudely negative, especially when that rude negativity is inconsistent when applied to others. When you're performing better than other people, yet they're targeting their ire towards you. And
Mm-hmm.
it sounds to me for you, you need a space. You want to create a space where people can learn, that can be constructive, and therefore get improved from doing what they do.
That's true. Correct.
Okay, thank you. So I guess I should say, what caused you to want to become a clinician in the first place? How did you get into that line of work?
Um, this is funny because I actually wanted to be an engineer.
Ah,
My
okay, cool.
background, right? I'm Asian, so you know the stereotype with Asian parents, like, oh, you have to be a lawyer, you have to be a doctor, that kind of trope. Yeah. So it's funny because actually it's my brother, my younger brother, who wants to be a doctor, and I'm the one that actually wants to be an engineer. But
Yeah,
we crossed lines. He's the one who became an engineer because he's the guy, like, the Asian. Um, I'm not being, but yeah, he became the engineer because he's the guy, and I became like the medical
yeah.
professional in our family. So in my excuse me, in my early years in university,
Mm,
I actually wanted to shift courses. If
mm.
not engineering, I wanted to shift to either philosophy as
Yep,
a pre-law. But then I think my mom discouraged me because she said that she didn't discourage me because I can do it. Excuse me, sorry. She discouraged me because she said that I don't have failing grades anyway, so why should I shift? So I understand as well, because here in the Philippines, we have to pay out of pocket for our tuition, so it's not a
yep,
joke to
yep.
to shell out money here. So I'm like, okay. And then the first, let's say, 2 years, I wasn't really feeling it. I wasn't really feeling physical therapy, because when I first came into it, I didn't know what physical therapy. Very noble job, but I didn't know what they do at the time, because back then in the Philippines we graduate high school at 15 years old. So I entered college at 15. But now
Wow.
we
Yeah.
have already updated the education system where you go to college at 18 like the rest of the
Yeah.
world. But that back then I entered the college at 15, so yeah, young age, not even yet 18, you don't know what to do, still young, fresh mind. So I was like, okay. Um and then I was even telling my mom, Mom, even if I had high grades in biology back in high school, I don't like this field. I like geology. My original choice was genetic science and engineering because I've
Mm.
been in geology since I was young. We had an encyclopedia. My dad
Yes.
bought us an encyclopedia and stuff, and we read the almanacs. And back then, no Google yet. All those
Yeah. Yeah.
books.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I said I don't like biology. I like astronomy. I like geology. I like meteorology and stuff. I don't like
Yep.
human.
Yep.
Yep. And then I think I began to fall in love with my course around third year. That's our PT proper, meaning that's the time when we actually learn about the field. We learn how to treat the patients. We had the anatomy class, the physiology and stuff, where we had to dissect cadavers and stuff. And I was like, oh,
Yes.
this is cool. Like, yeah. And then third and fourth year PT proper, fifth year is our internship, meaning we are exposed more with the patients, clinic and hospitals for 10 months. I fell in love with the patient care because I was able to see now what I can read in the book. It's not just all theoretical. I can see now, oh, even if the book says this, conditions can mix up this. And I've always been the type of clinician who's more of like I like the process of evaluating examination and diagnosing patients with repeat impression. Because there are some physical therapists who are like more on the field, like sports PT and stuff. I'm more of like neuro PT. I like those more medical cardiopulmo. I'm more of like the clinician type of mindset. Wherein my first job after being licensed was wellness. For a month, I left not because the company is bad, but because I was like, wait, it's not my passion. Like I miss assessing my patients. I miss evaluating. I miss diagnosing.
Yes.
So
Yes.
yeah, and then I returned to clinic, which is my first hospital work for almost a year. And yeah, I think it's all good there. I like taking care of my patients. I like communicating with physicians. I like proposing what my assessments are if I think that they are wrong because we have documentations anyway. Like the only thing that is quite limiting here in the Philippines is where we are not as respected when it comes to communications, because here physicians are the managers of the nurses, PTs, and all that. In the US, for example, PTs are in demand, right? In the US, PTs, which I have DPT, Doctor of PT, although I haven't pursued US yet right now, um, we can have direct access with the patients where they don't have to come to the physician in order to be seen by a PT. That's
Yes.
not the case here in the Philippines. So there are some limitations that I feel like I can't apply my creativity when it comes to individualizing my treatment for my patient, not by the box that most of the doctors prescribe, but how I see my patient as an individual, their prior level of activity and all that. Um, I love being a clinician, but that time I chose between my studies, furthering my education because I was studying my doctorate at the time, and my work, the hospital that I was working at, requires 1 hour of commute
Mm.
each. Yeah, it's too far, and I can't move at that time. So I was like, okay, I have to choose. So I chose being a full-time student so I can finish up my doctorate, to which I had two capstones, two case reports that I had to treat two patients with different um conditions. That's ADCAPs or frozen shoulder and osteoarthritis.
Yep.
Yeah, I think I'll bridge this now to my work. Back then, when I did my individual case report, I feel like even if it's too rigorous and intimidating, I fell in love with the process of the research because
Yep.
I did it on my own. Back in university, when we did our thesis, we are in a group. And back then, I also argued with our leader, our principal investigator, that I want an experimental study, but they were like, we just want to pass.
Yep. Yep.
Why are you making our lives difficult? Like I want a stroke patient kind of, but yeah, realistically, it's difficult to what they call this, to get those specific stroke patient. that we are looking for, the inclusion criteria. So yeah, okay, let's go with you. But right now, no, no, not right now. Sorry. Back then, during my case report, I was the one who did everything. I did the prescription, I did the research, I did the searching up the clinical practice guidelines. So I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the process of writing a paper again, and I realized, wait, I want to actually pursue um the medical research field or medcoms field after this.
Yeah.
But that didn't come into fruition immediately because after I graduated, I excuse me, I applied
Yep.
as a healthcare visual assistant for over a year. I worked as a medical scribe, so that's more of like the documentation aspect. Although our physician gave us the freedom to, let's say, to do the history taking, which I already do as a physical therapist. History taking review of systems which I enjoy. I connect with the patients. I get to know more their history and build up diagnosis in my head, which I always enjoy, like the big picture, like just coming into pieces, like that kind of um yeah of realization. And then I enjoyed it as well because I worked with two very good rheumatologists in the field, and I learned a lot from them. I'm very grateful. And aside from them being competent, they are also compassionate, and at the same time they are not thrifty when it comes to giving compliments if they appreciate you, which is the dynamic that I like when it comes to workspace. Like there's no one threatened, there's no one insecure. If
Yep.
if you want a compliment, you just give it out, genuine compliments, because I can feel if it's ingenuine anyway or not authentic. I don't like that either. Um, yeah, so I left my work as a medical scribe because I got engaged, I got married as well. We had to plan that out. And then good timing, serendipitous timing as well. After our honeymoon, I got hired in my work right now. So the timing. I got married after the honeymoon when we went to Japan and all that. And after that, okay, I have a job. Like God is good. Yep. Yeah,
Marvelous.
so far, yeah,
Great.
to answer your question, I like being a clinician. I fell in love with it, with the compassion, with the field of compassion, and the scientific aspect of it. I just didn't like the healthcare system. Sorry, can I say that out loud? I just don't like sometimes the healthcare system when it comes to some things that you have to maneuver here and there that you cannot be 100% truthful. Where sometimes there's a running joke in medical field, especially when I worked in the US field, that um insurance companies make you liars even if you don't want to lie. Yeah. So I was
Right.
like, yep.
Yep.
Yeah. Sorry. I
Yep.
also want to mention one experience during my internship that I feel like still resonates to me until now. Back then, I was treating this patient as a nurse, and I was really passionate about my field, right? And I did mention to her that I get annoyed when physicians just milk money out of their patients. Like it's not human centered. It's
Yep.
more of like the centered. And then she was like, "Oh, you're still young. That's why you say that." I do understand that there's business aspect to it. I do understand that you have to earn,
Yep.
but I still feel like there should be this sweet spot of earning and being humanistic about it. So I
Yes.
feel like I've had that burned in my brain for years now, and I feel like no, sorry, I still have the same principle in my head that I want patients to get what they deserve, and for them to be treated as humans, not as lab rats, as
Yep.
licking cups. Yep.
Yep. So there's a very interesting blend of things there. So one, I can see a natural leaning towards things initially, rather than people. The idea of being
Mhm.
able to, so a strength in understanding how things work and getting to grips with that, and a way of learning which isn't overly structural, but is more about applying things effectively in different situations and knowing when the complications arise and how to deal with those sorts of things. So very much a practical understanding of knowledge. And then at the same time, a desire for an environment where people can be sincere, even
Mhm.
leaning more towards the positive and the
Mhm.
appreciative of each other. There's an emphasis there also on well-being, on not having to travel too far for work, not having to work too far out of work-life balance. So having
Mhm.
almost more sort of ideal, abundance oriented conditions rather than a sort of rat race where you're trying to get as much money as possible, you're trying to survive as much as possible, you're trying to set the narrative as much as possible to protect yourself from future risk and those sorts of things. But really, for you, it's just doing a good job at what you're doing and applying that expertise in a very sort of earnest way to help people around you and
Thank you so much.
utilizing that skill set for you, which is, I think, very much the sort of the practical how things work side of things.
Mhm.
You said that you are a natural leader. So can you just tell me a bit more about how that comes up in work? How do you, for instance, I got a good question. How do you handle situations of confrontation and conflict with others?
All right. Sorry, do I answer first your first question about the natural leadership or the second one?
So the second one, how do you handle situations of confrontation and conflict with others?
Got it. So, let's say I'm thinking because they're when it comes to confrontations, I feel like I'm more of it depends with the person. Let's say let's just answer in general. I feel like in general, when there's like a conflict, I talk to the person directly immediately. Like,
Hmm.
and yeah, of course, I wouldn't frame it as like I'm accusing them. I would frame it as like, hey, for example, let's say there's an hearsay or there's a work conflict or even not non-work conflict. I'll say like, I think this is, excuse me. I think this ABC. What do you think of that? Um, um, I'll address it first with the. Sorry, I'll lay out the problem first in a sense that is tactful is what I'm trying to say, and then get what they think. I want
Yeah.
to get what they think about it, and then how they feel about it later on. I say that it depends with the person is because some I would like to talk to people more, or I feel like it's worth. How do I word it? It's worth talking to people more that I want to save their relationship or friendship with in a more direct way. Like you know that I want us to work if as I'm still talking to you about these things.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think I do the same approach to others. It's just more less personalized when it's not people I care about. If you get what I mean, if that makes sense. But the approach is the same. It's just that the motivations are different. Like it's more personalized when it comes to people I care about, as I mentioned, and then it's more or less personalized if it's work wise.
Yes. Makes sense.
Yeah, I hope I answered your question.
I think so. The point is that again, it's a very constructive approach to a conflict. It's not about avoiding the conflict, it's taking a constructive approach to it, which suggests not too much discomfort with it, but a desire to keep that as a productive conversation rather than an unproductive, but then also varying your approach depending on the relationship you have with the person, which is also
Mhm.
important to you. A question I have, um, just another sort of question I want to ask is, what qualities do you admire in other people that you do not have yourself?
Let's see. I have two. I'll think. The first one that I have in my mind right now, the first one to pop up is sometimes I envy, not in a bad way. Like I admire. Sorry, yeah, the word is admire. I admire others who can relax immediately. Like
Mhm.
sometimes, since I've mentioned that I'm more of like in this space of being an eldest daughter and a natural leader, I'm like, how do these people rest? Like they just lay down and go to sleep immediately. Like or sometimes if it's even sleeping, it would be like they just got off work and then they're gaming already. I'm like, what? Like I have to. I feel like I um I value rest the same way as them. I like cozy things. I play cozy games, but I have to have that specific environment first in order for me to relax.
Yeah.
Wherein I think it's where my husband helps me out because he's very good at relaxing. He's very good at being domestic and stuff. So when I feel like I'm not taking care of myself at the moment, he's there to balance it out for me. Like, okay, you relax, you can do your game. I got this. Like, he's good at that. No, I have to work. No, you don't know. Not again. He will say, no, please relax.
Yep.
And yeah. So I
Yep.
admire him. But I was like, he's he also has like a very physical work, by the way. Like, but you are tired from work and then you can just relax like that. I have a tiring work, but it's more mental, right? Because it's in the medical research realm. And I'm like, this is just amazing. How do you do that?
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I'm thankful for him. Yeah. And I think the other one would be what was the other one? Um, I was thinking of someone. I lost it, but it's more on the intellectual realm. But I forgot how to frame it. So I think the most natural response that I have is my husband, like balancing me out, being able to rest whenever they want.
Sure.
I've
You
improved over time.
yeah.
I used to be worse than this. I don't really rest. Like if I have to finish something, I have to finish it immediately. Like go, 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 like that kind of sense. But like I've improved over time. I have to pace myself. Like okay, you're going overboard. Let's pause. Let's slow down. Like that kind of grounding of myself as I grow older is there. But back then it's bad. Like when I was back when I was a clinician, I won't sit down. I'm just standing up. What do you need? What do you need? I will ask my coworkers, my co-clinicians, do you need help? Do you need this? Or if I'm not moving around, I'm doing my notes. And then it's gotten to the point where my other co-clinician, who's my friend right now, said, "Please sit down." He said, "I'll take your other patient. Just sit down, please. Just sit down." Which I appreciate that time because it's that bad. And back then, when I was the clinician, we had no official break. We can just eat when there's no patient. So we have to eat within 5 minutes quickly or 20 minutes when we have the patient on a modality.
Yes.
Uh, you just have to fit the time. Like it's just like go 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 kind of atmosphere. Yeah.
How easy is it for you to just to stop and reflect on where you want to go, what you want to do further along?
Mind repeating that again?
So how easy is it for you to just to stop doing things and to reflect and to think about what you want to be doing further on from now, say in the next few years?
Oh, sorry. Can you provide an example for this for me to
So,
understand?
so it sounds to me you're naturally up and doing a lot of things. There's a lot that you end up doing in the present moment. How easy is it for you to put aside the time just to think about? Sorry about. Let me just answer this. Well, not answer. So, how easy is it for you to rather than doing lots of different things, think about where things are going, how things will play out, um, where how things might be a few years from now, to go into your imagination in terms of where things will go. Is that when I say an example, it's there's no real concrete example. It's how things might develop into the future, where things have come from the past. How often do you just spend time just to think about those things and how that all connects?
Sure. Um, if I understand it correctly, feel free to correct me. It's more of like um tracking like a linear time. Is
Can,
that it?
can be can be linear, can be linear. I guess the question is how much time do you give just to going into that mental space rather than the physical of what you're doing?
Sure, got it. I think I don't know if it's the correct word. But this is the word that I have in my brain right now, so I'll just spell it out. It's more of like strategic in a sense. I feel like I've always followed. I don't know. Let me know if I'm being abstract. I
Fine.
feel like I've always followed time. There are some. How do I explain it? I explain it to with my husband by saying that I feel like sometimes there's this concept within me where I feel like I'm pushing time, or I don't know how to explain it. It feels like Wait, let me
Sure, sure,
phrase
sure.
it. Sure. When I say pushing time, sometimes I feel like I should be doing something at the moment, but it's not happening. But at the same time, I've already constructed in my brain how, like, the schedule, not really a schedule, but like the timeline or the timestamps should go. If that makes sense. Like, I can trace, like, how do I word it? Sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah, but like there's like this timeline to make it short. It's like there's a timeline in my head always. I'm not sure if it's part of being a woman somehow because of the mental load. Sometimes we have this timeline that we have to, maybe not, sorry. But like I feel like it's common for us to have this mental load of stuff that we have to think of, like, at this time, at this time, at this time, at this time, at this time. But sometimes even if you have things planned out, um what they call this, you can ask for 5 more minutes before going up to do it. But at the same time, yeah, I think, yeah, I have an example. I think one of the examples here is, I would, say, I would think of a timeline, regardless if it's like too long, far, or short term.
Yeah.
And even if, for example, others would think that I'll be late, for some reason I'm on time because I feel like I've calculated it already in my head with the things that I'm doing, if that makes sense.
Right.
I'm not
So
sure if that's the answer to your
no,
question,
no,
but
no, 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 no. It's fascinating how you answered that because I was
uh,
asking you more about your mental wanderings and just thinking about where how things are going to play out in the longer term and where how things have led to where you are now and that sort of thing. And you tell me about, well, I think about timelines. I think about when I need to do this, when I need to do this. If I do this thing, how does that affect how I'm doing this? And
mhm,
so it's approaching chronology in
mhm,
terms
mhm,
of what practical steps to do when.
mhm,
I
mhm.
felt that was very interesting. That's very clearly defining what you're doing at each point in time rather than telling me about general trends. And
Thank you
it's
so much. Usually,
and it's
sorry, I have to
no,
say
no, no,
this.
no, 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 don't apologize.
I mean,
No,
when I
no,
do
no,
my
that's
thoughts,
not, yeah, that's not a problem. That's me seeing how you cognitively make sense of that. That's useful for me because that's telling me you naturally want to answer in terms of the specifics of what you're doing when, and you naturally want to convert the where things how things are maybe playing out or how things may develop into a timeline where
yeah,
there are things that's very useful for me. That tells me that the way that you approach a big abstract stretch of time is to
yeah,
concretize it.
yeah. Thank
You
you.
you said on your questionnaire that you'd spend a lot of time pondering. You spend some time journaling. Can you tell me a bit about your ponderings and your journalings?
Oh, sure, sure. So basically, I journal every Tuesday and Friday. Since I think did I mention I've already, if not, I'm going to mention it again. I'm into, like, theology and philosophy. Not really formal philosophy. Yeah, like, knowing the philosophers and all that, because I used to talk to someone who's majoring in philosophy. I said I like philosophy, and it's like, name 10 philosophers. I'm like, bro, what? No, meaning I like discussions about those. And even in university, I mean, I've aced my logic and my philosophy classes. So
Yep.
I've always liked it. Like, deconstructing, or, watching arguments and then breaking down the premises, the logic and stuff, and seeing what's the more making sense premise when people are in a debate. But anyway, when I journal, again, since I'm into theology, I'm a practicing Catholic. I usually do
Sure.
Lectio
Mhm.
Divina. So that's like reading the scripture devoutly, and then you reflect on it, and then you pray about it, and then you apply.
Yep.
Essentially, that's the gist of it. So I do Lectio Divinas. So how I do it, I actually have a group right now of of friends that are doing this with me, I would see that others approach is they would reflect based on their own life and all that, which I do as well. But in my case, I find that when I'm reflecting, I associate how I connect different what they call this, connect different, what's the term, different source, let's say source, I can think
Right.
sources into a big picture. So for example, if I'm reflecting on these specific passages, I can say, oh, in the previous passage there's this, in a different book there's this, or if there's like a book that I've read, I garnered this based on this, based on even if it's studies that
Sure,
not
sure.
necessarily. Yep. So I merge all of them into one picture, and then after having those big picture, that's when I will relate with my life, or I
Yes,
can write personal stuff in
yes.
between. But the thing of like associating like this won't be not in my journals.
Sure, sure. So,
Mm.
so the journal is partly or partly driven by religion, with an aspect of self-development and
Mhm.
growth, learning
Mhm.
from religious sources as well,
Mhm.
finding what the lesson is behind these sources, and seeing how it can be applied to your life in a reflective exercise.
Mm.
Is that right of me to say? Okay. And you say you do this with your friends.
Mhm. Yeah. Mhm.
So is this a Catholic, it's like a Catholic group? Is it a okay.
Actually, I have two Catholic service that I'm in. The first one is the Catholic typology, where we
Really?
yeah Catholic typology. And it's a small close friends group because
Yep.
it's rare to find um current generation Catholics who are like, what is that typology? Another zodiac? No, it's not. No, yeah. But like it's rare to find like peers who are into typology as well. So we discuss socionics, MBTI, temperament, and DCNH, but mostly socionics. Uh, we kind of we kind of dropped the MBTI because we're into socionics right now. Because
Yep.
we can see as we studied, oh, there's a lot of discrepancies. Like I feel like it's more this is more useful to us. And then what actually drove that Discord to be built is we had we saw from, sorry, I'm going to mention saints. Is that all right? Saint Thomas Aquinas,
Please
philosopher.
feel
So
free to mention saints. I'm happy to hear about saints. Go on.
Saint Thomas Aquinas is also into temperament, and in the
Mm,
Catholic faith, some spiritual directors use temperament to spiritual direct others.
yeah.
So I was like, and then one of our friends mentioned that, oh wait, I have a book for MBTI, and it is relating MBTI with prayer forms, prayer styles. So
Mm,
that's interesting. So we can share that, so we can know what prayer um works for us. And I was like, somehow wishful thinking. Wait, maybe someday if we have time, maybe we can create a book or something, or a guide using socionics this time when it comes to prayer styles and stuff. And we are all busy, so we haven't. And then there was also an attempt for me to create my own system, which is
yes.
inspired by temperament. It's not out, by the way. It's just still in the works, but it uses virtues and vices as part of it. So it's going to be less scientific as socionic. It's more of like temperament. Temperament is
Sure,
not
sure.
scientific too, but it works.
No.
So yeah. And then the other server is another Catholic server where we journal. We have a guild where we reflect on the Book of Sirach, Ben
Yeah.
Sirach. It's all Old Testament. So that's our meetings. Actually, just handwritten, and we post our journals. Um, yeah, so we post passages what we will reflect on Tuesday or Friday. We post it. Then I want to see how the scripture spoke to them and how different we are when it comes to reflecting. Yeah.
Fair enough. I got another question, which is, do you have many friends?
Friends. Sorry. I'd say I have handpicked friends. um let's say I don't have problems or issues when it comes to connecting with people. I believe that um let's say I'm not talking about functionally extroverted, but I'm socially extroversion. I'm talking about socially extroversion. That I feel like I'm more on the extroverted side in a sense that
Yeah.
even strangers comfy excuse me comfy talking to me, opening up to me and just yapping around me, and then I like prompting questions to get to know them more. I've always been good with that kind of sort of socialization. I think the only problem is I don't have problems with connection. I think I won't say it's an issue, but it's more of like a vetting system that I feel like not everyone gets to know me in a way that I would like to get to know them. How do I word it? Um,
Hmm.
I'd say I have a fault there too because I'm private. I'm very
Yeah.
private. I don't like sharing too much stuff that are sensitive. I am fine with yapping, but like not too much like what I'm going to do, what I'm up to. Um, excuse me. Others would say that I'm bubbly and just feedback from others from work, bubbly and charming. And I would say I feel like so, but when it comes to like actual genuine relationships, it's difficult to get in. Is if
Yes.
that's the if that's the word. And if sometimes I feel like yeah, one of the reasons as well why I feel like this is because I feel like if I talk about things that I excuse me that I care about, other people will be bored. Like for example, not everyone. Again, this is not being edgy. I have no problems with small talk because I was like, I don't like small talk. I like big talk. Let's not. No, no, no. I'm not like that. We can
No,
do
no.
small talk. Do big talk.
Yeah.
I'm just talking about like if I talk about things that matters to me, like for example, socionics, the theology, the philosophy, other stuff that is more of like in the theoretical aspect. I feel like people will be bored of me. And from my observation, people usually love to talk about gossip day to day life, which again I don't have a problem, but I feel lonely in that aspect that
Yes.
I want to talk to. I have my husband now, but back then before him, it's lone. It get excuse me, I have
Yeah.
clogged nose.
Okay.
That it gets lonely that I don't have someone to talk about something I'm passionate about. If there's any, it would be like online friends. When it comes to online friends, it's because it's niched and narrowed down. You
Yep.
have
Yep.
chosen the community, so you can talk about it, but like it's still different when you talk with people in your life, especially when we have company dinners. I feel energized. Oh, I get to talk to actual people. Like I like this. I like complimenting them. I like I like learning about them and stuff. But then again, that same type of effort, I don't necessarily get myself. Like
Yeah.
the genuine to get to know you.
Another question I have is
Hmm.
how do you determine who should be a friend of yours, who you should put your trust in and talk about more private things with versus others?
Sure. Essentially, I would know. I think I have a very simple. Right now, I'm not young, but when I was younger, it's too much. But now, and I'm 28. Um, I think my vetting system now is whether how you show up for me, both when
Mm.
I'm happy or when I'm sad. It's not just a gauge when I'm sad because I've had a best friend for 8 years back then. She was there all through and through during sadness. But then when I was finally happy, that's when she started showing her real self where she was raining on my own parade. Like, oh, you're just trauma bonding. Are you just
Yep.
there because
Yep.
but then now my gauge is will you be there for me when I'm sad and be happy for me when I'm happy?
Yes. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very, I think people often when I talk to typically I talk to men about this, they usually said, well, you're with me when it's good, but you're not with me when it's hard. But it's interesting you mentioned the other dynamic, which is equally true. That when someone's doing well, there's almost are you going to be happy for me, or are you going to get resentful that I'm doing well and you're no longer doing poorly? Fascinating. Very interesting. Okay. So, Yella, I think I have a clear
I'm
idea.
sorry you lagged. I'm sorry.
I know the connection's gone a bit
I'm sorry.
funny.
Sorry.
It's all right. It seems to have. Is it
Sorry.
stabilizing now? Can you hear me now? Testing, testing.
Yeah, I can hear you now. Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay. So I think I have a good idea what type I think you are. And I think what's very clear are delta values.
Mm-hmm.
There's a definite, what's very apparent is your earnestness, your desire to do a good thing in everything that you're doing, whether that's in your work, how you handle medical information, how you work on yourself and relate to your friends. It's very much the earnest sense that you just want to do the best job that you can do across the board. And there's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of energy that you have to put towards doing the best job that you can do to the point where some people have to say, no, no, you should actually stop and relax and stop trying to do everything in the world
Yeah.
that make things so good. There's a very strong sense of responsibility. Your leadership is responsibility, and it's you taking that responsibility before anyone else takes that responsibility. Not because you want to be in charge, but because you feel that responsibility so strongly that you have to do things. You are
Mm-hmm.
clearly very leaning towards you naturally, in terms of your strengths, lean towards things rather than
Mm-hmm.
people. Not to say you're antisocial at all, because you're not antisocial at all, but it's how you work with how things work. You wanted to be an engineer to begin with,
Mm-hmm.
understanding that if things in a purely factual rather than emotional or vaguely personal way came to you
Mm-hmm.
far more naturally, and you're able to do that far better. And as a clinician, again, it was diagnosing the problems and ideally using what you've learned to fix the problems, to help solve the situation. And there's
Mm-hmm.
a very much a sense of goodwill and good intentions in you to want to help people as a way of solving their problems. There
Thank
is,
you.
I think, a very clear sign of as well an awareness of your well-being, how things are in balance, awareness of where what you're doing might be bringing things out of balance. And the tension for you is your need to be doing things and your
Mm-hmm.
awareness of how that affects your health and well-being. And you're almost looking for someone else to say, no, no, we are going to relax now and to set the pace. Because you don't set the pace, but you are
Mm-hmm.
aware of this information, which tells me this is actually still an area of strength for you, but it's not an area of stubbornness. You need someone else to say, right, I need us to wind down. I'm tired now, and you will then wind things down to make sure the other person is actually is okay in their physical environment. In doing so, you then relax yourself because you're
Mm-hmm.
so active. So I can see there's a lot of extroverted sensation in your demonstrated function, and I think that that introverted sensation makes sense as a creative function. And I was testing that with how you think about where things are going, because you said in your question, you ponder quite a bit. But I think that pondering is really how can I be a better person rather than where is this all going? What does this all mean in some sort of grandiose sense? And I was asking you about this, you started talking about timelines and what you're doing, which is what we see when I target a question at introvert intuition, you went more towards the introverted sensation of, well, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this in these different ways. So you're concretizing it, which suggests to me that is likely the blind spot.
Mm-hmm.
You are
Mm-hmm.
someone who has worked a lot on your growth. And I think that that growth has definitely been in terms of pursuing your interest and broadening your horizons, looking at what else you can learn from scripture, what else you can learn from your interest in different areas, typology, etc. And this is an area where you also feel slightly vulnerable in terms of people then finding your interests boring to some degree. There isn't quite that same confidence in these slightly left of field interests being accepted, and you almost feel more comfortable in this sort of, well, I can do the small talk. I'm fine with that. I'm not against small talk, but I want to talk about something new and interesting and fresh, and I'm not sure it's going to be accepted by others. And so that strikes me as one, the ethics again being weaker rather than the logic, because knowing where you stand with others is perhaps not as natural, but also that this area is quite important to you, but you can expand these new areas, look into these new areas and
Mm-hmm.
and that not then being perceived as crazy to some degree or strange or just as you said boring. But why would the unusual be boring? I don't know. But it suggests to me that is likely a mobilizing function. That this is an area of growth for you, the finding something else, because you can do the logistical, you can do the practical very well, I can see, and you think about how to solve problems. it's then what is next, what is fresh, what is new, how else can we do this, which I think makes sense as a weaker, but an area which you are trying to push and to grow within yourself and gives you that sense of fulfillment. But again, that sense of some uncertainty if it will then be accepted because this awareness of people might find me boring coming in, I can see the extroverted ethics as a role function. It's not what you do for its own sake, but you are kind of checking that as well. You want constructive feedback, you want things to be practical. You also it's good that things should also be positive and we should say the right things. And there's awareness that okay, how things are coming across should also be factored in, even if that's not the prime consideration, which is how things work, how things can actually help in a practical way. I was trying to delve into your introverted ethics, and you said, well, you figured it out now, to some degree, but not with any sort of certainty. It's okay, what I'm doing right now, not sure if that will be for the future, but what I'm doing right now is seeing do people show up for me when times are good, when times are bad. So looking and checking to see what people do, and from that deriving what their character is, rather than just reading their character based on some sort of personal attitude or feeling. So there isn't the confidence in that. There's a confidence in seeing what they've done in this situation, seeing what they've done in that situation, which is what we find with extroverted logic types. They don't quite trust their just personal assessment of character. They have to look at the facts and what's actually been shown, and they measure that because they think very empirically. Um, so it strikes me that although you didn't speak as much to someone supporting you in your introverted ethics, and you actually spoke a bit more about your introverted sensation, it sounds to me the introverted ethics is actually a major point here. And you use things like Catholicism as a tool to help you in that reflective "who am I" approach. And
Mhm.
so a person who helps you in that as well, who can help you to reflect on have you got good intentions at the end of the day? Does this really sit right with you as a person and who you wish to be as a person? That side and sort of just also seeing your good intentions behind all the many good things that you are doing sounds to me as a very valuable thing. Someone who actually who finds you personally important to them is something you'd be very sort of receptive to. Um, so yeah, I'm thinking LSE. LSE seems to be making the most sense. That doesn't sound like it's a surprise to you. It looks like it's a sense of, oh yes, I was maybe thinking. What do you think? What are your thoughts, Yella?
Yeah, actually, I don't have other professional typings yet, but every time I do discussions with others who are into typology as well, um, I lurk on your comment section. I lurk on Jason Practical Socionics comment
Yeah, yeah,
section.
yeah,
Also lurk on your typology, and then usually, I think people usually almost always point out to me like, "Oh, you have a very strong TE."
yep,
I'm like, okay, but
yep,
sometimes it can be sorry. I think one of the reasons why I wanted more of a professional typing was because when you came from an MBTI perspective or point of view, there's this caricature typology where, oh, you're religious, you're SJ. Oh, you're what they call this, you're not, you're, let's say you're religious, you can be an NT, like, what. But
yep,
like reading socionics is more of like, I saw that TI to others as well can, can lead to like the structure of the religion sometimes, somehow. So I wanted to move across or far away from caricature typology, and I
yeah.
actually wanted to have like a real typing done by a professional, which is I chose you out of others
Thank you.
because I followed you for a long time, and every time I have a discussion with my friends on our Discord, I usually send your videos. Apart from Wikisocion links, I've also checked out other models and stuff, but I always find myself coming back to WSS. So
No,
I have to make a choice. Like,
fantastic. Um,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. It's funny. You remember those sorts of memes where you have like a bell curve to suggest intelligence, and people who are not very intelligent on one end saying one thing, and people who have sort of like the Jedi hood on the other end saying exactly the same thing, and people in the middle saying something totally different.
yeah,
It's a bit like that, I think, with SJ and religion. That you got the MBTI lot who are saying, "Oh yeah, SJs are religious because they're narrow and they're traditionalist." Then you got the middle people say, oh no, SJs don't have to be religious because after all, it's religion is maybe a sort of an abstract thing, and SJs are actually quite practical and grounded. Then you got people on the far end saying, well, actually, if you look at LSEs, for instance, there are approaches to religion that actually make a lot of sense to them in terms of some sort of tool for them to work on their personal growth and their relationship with something greater than themselves, which brings inherent to it a humility and a desire to learn from the experience and to become the best person they can be. I've encountered examples of LSEs, frequently Catholics, I should say. I haven't seen them in much enough Catholics who engage with the texts to a great degree, who approach it almost quite academically in terms of understanding what is the message we can derive from these texts and what they mean. And they get involved in sort of homilies and those sorts of things. Is that's what that intellectual academic space of Catholicism I find actually it's very populated by LSEs, and I've seen LSE bishops. It actually it makes a lot of sense. They are because they don't they aren't actually very spiritual naturally in terms of their strengths. They're far more about what am I doing here? I know I'm doing a good job here, but what does it all mean for me? And who am I at the end of the day? Religion
Mhm.
is the ideal way for them to then connect to that. It's not about a rigid sense of doctrine or rules to tell you what to do. It's the opposite. It's a spiritual unfolding that gets you to start to reflect on who you are, which
Mhm.
is the introverted ethics and the extroverted intuition. And
Mhm.
it's interesting. You got the LSCs and you got towards the flip side with the EIEs, who can go a bit off the rails and get very intense. They can have a sort of sex, drugs, rock and roll thing going on, and many of them turn to faith in terms of the doctrinal. These are the rules. This is the ideology to give them a sense of clarity in their life. And it's funny. It's these types are I believe in this idea of silhouettes, that these very different types, these super ego relations, are curiously similar in their patterns. In fact, they're
Mhm.
looking for the same sorts of interactions. It's just that it's coming from very different kinds of information. The LSE is looking for that spiritual support to stabilize that feeling of who they are underneath what they're doing. And the EIE is looking for that structural support in terms of what things really are under the many ways in which they are manifesting. So it's yeah, I've seen this with LSEs.
Not professionally, but someone mistyped me as an EIE due to my what do I call this, my outwardly love for God. Let's just say that. So are you an EIE or something, or are you an ENFJ and stuff? I'm like, I know
Uh,
someone was an EIE, but I used to be friends with her. And then yeah, I can see the difference. And I also like how you've highlighted that a lot of LSs that you know are Catholics as well, and then more in the apologetics,
yeah,
in some
yeah,
way. Because I'm also, at least in our community, I'm also part of those more of like the apologetics, discussing this and that and how what this means. Of course, with the I have to provide the proper source, of course, not just not trust me, bro, type of way. And yeah, it's just I love hearing that. Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you for
No,
explaining.
there's not a beta bone in your body. I should say that there's no narrative control. There's no there's no desire for sort of reputation or impact for the sake of what you're known. It seems to be far more about the personal growth, development, and growth, and just doing things in an earnest way. It's very wholesome, which again is very LSE. If an EIE engages with Catholicism, I think it's more the sort of it's more the spectacle and the drama involved in that. There are plenty of EIE Catholics, but it's far more about this passion and power of faith rather than your approach, which is quite different. But I think what they do is they take people just associate one approach to religion, Catholicism, and then don't see the many different ways that actually it can occur. Given that Catholicism is absolutely huge and has existed for a very long period of time since you know since the late Roman period, you know. there's a huge amount of variation in terms of how people then what people take from it and apply. That was, in my view, was one of the strengths of Christianity, that
Mhm.
there was an aspect of a blank slate, that you could have different cultures, different temperaments, take from it what was most meaningful to them, and that then became their article of faith. And so yeah, I don't like these sorts of simplifications.
I also like that you confirmed to me like this wholesome part of LSEs, because usually
Mm.
when you came from MBDR, right, it's usually like, oh, the commander, the bossy, the punisher of other people if you don't get a
No,
decent time.
no,
Yep,
yeah,
yep. I've been reading, so I
yep,
just like assurance as well that okay, so we're not that caricature like. Because I also questioned the TE before, the TE lead, because I've had a friend who's an LIE, and he's very, let's say, fiery or passionate, to the sense that
yes,
when I was trying to, so they are they are in a conflict, him and an INFP or EII, and then I the intermediate.
yep,
Start. Yeah, I helped them out to diffuse the of tension, and then it was like, no, 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 why did you do this? Like, I have to be objective. I have
yep,
to hear both of them. It's like, and then someone says, there's another one. There's another conflict where someone said, um, oh, her TE is not TEing. So I was like, wait, am I not TE? Because why do I feel like I have to question the TE? Like, so I have to look at other types.
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, there's just an assurance, like hearing from you that that's what you think. At least I know now that despite other people trying to caricature typology, there's just still room for objectivity for it.
That's if you deal with LIEs, they have these edges to them. They have
Mhm.
lots of sharp edges. They don't know how to smooth themselves over. LSC doesn't have very sharp edges. They are typically very robust, resilient people, but they can handle these conflicts. But they are far smoother in how they approach them, and it's yeah. So the association of this sort of roughness with tea, of course, is a very MBTI thing, and I think it comes predominantly from looking at, on the one hand, some
Hello.
LIEs, on the other hand, some SLEs, and sort of mixing those together. But yeah, LSE isn't understood well, and typically ends up being typed in ESTP or something. Or you could get a sort of ENFJ, sort of good student, responsible pedagogue who actually turns out to be an LSE. And there's that sort of ENFJ sort of um, slightly Mary Sue stereotype, because he's like got all the NF goodness, but doesn't actually make sense as an NF. Um, yeah, which could actually, which when you look at them more accurately and you realize, hang on, where are the actual difficulties they're facing? You can see it actually is an LSE under the surface. Um, it's been a pleasure, Yella.
Every
Sorry to get to
time.
from you. We have a follow-up session, so please get there. Please put that in when you can, and I look forward to it. And maybe, I think you said when to wait. A week is ideal, and then we can have a follow-up session, and I'm sure people will enjoy watching that.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your time, and have a great day ahead.
Thank
Bye
you.
bye.
And thank you everyone for tuning in. I think we had one or two people watching, so thank you for that. Well, 8 people watching now. So yeah, please feel free to tune in. And next time also you can ask Yella some questions. If yeah, you okay with some questions, yours? Excellent. Good.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Thank you everyone. Bye bye.